Today I'm bringing you a guide and my point of view on the new Karazhan Crypts dungeon in Sod. We're going to go over each boss, including the two secret bosses. Before I get into that, I want to go over a game-breaking setting that will greatly increase your quality of life inside of this dungeon. It's very dark in this dungeon. For me, it was kind of hurting my eyes. If you go to your options and you type in Gamma, you can turn this slider up. It's going to make your screen a lot brighter and a lot easier to see throughout the dungeon. Let's get into it. Before we actually get into the bosses themselves, one thing I want to go over is some of these ad packs are very deadly in this dungeon. So we try to pull ads and pull them back line of sight as much as we can. If not, you're going to have multiple groups pat into each other and could potentially pull 3 to 4 groups at once, which will wipe your group. There's one last thing I want to point out too. I never thought I would have came back to SOD if you would have asked me 2 or 3 months ago. I came back about a month and a half ago to SOD and I have not regretted it. It is incredibly fun. It's very easy to catch up. I mean, you'll be competing, have almost full base gear within 3 to 4 weeks of being back. If you've been thinking about coming back to SOD for a while and you haven't made that decision, now's your time to come back. You won't regret it. Now into this first boss, which I do want to highlight, the first 4 bosses that you do, you don't have to do in any particular order. You do them in the order you want, and you will be able to activate the last boss regardless. You had to kill a couple ads in this room to come across a key. Once you got that key, you can open the gate to activate one of these 2 bosses. We decided to go with the lady this time around. She's going to pop some dialogue, and then the fight will get started here. This is going to be a full single target fight. This lady does a lot of frost abilities. She has a Nova, she's a mage, she's going to be doing frostbolt volleys. You pretty much just heal through that. We're having some threat issues on these bosses. Some of these bosses are immune to taunt, so that is one thing to keep note of. There's these different icicles that are going to spawn around the room. They just do an AoE pulse around them once they land, and she also casts that blizzard like what you just saw behind me. Other than that, this boss is pretty straightforward. It's kind of a tank and spank. Pretty easy. Definitely does do a lot of damage and has some overlaps with these Novas and frostbolt volleys, but you can catch your group back up and heal through it here. Moving on to the next boss here, and man was this cool to see. This boss just looks incredible. It's going to be another single target fight. There is some threat issues on this boss, which I will go over as you kind of see this fight progress here. At first, nothing fancy. He's going to start doing a spin and start AoE pulsing some damage. So that's what I'm talking about. You want to move out of that pulse, ideally stay together as a group. And here comes his flame whirl here. This hits pretty hard. It's an AoE heal check. You just want to constantly be moving from these little fireballs we're seeing around the room before they explode. Pool of the Damned. He's going to slowly pull you towards him, and you just have to run away from this pool. Pretty simple, easy to get around. It's going to pair with this ability Inferno right here, which is an AoE ability. You have to be exactly where we're standing at right now to not get one shot by that. Now as you see on the threat table, I'm number 1, our Boomkin's number 2, and now our Rogue's getting damaged. This boss has some threat drops. The way you can combat this, at least as a range, is just stay out of his large hitbox. You can still attack him from back here like you see me doing. I'm kind of scared right now and not really knowing at the time, but I can just sit here and free cast, and even if I have threat, I'm not going to get attacked. So that's what happened to our other 2 DPS. Regardless, we're going to be able to get this guy down here. He's not going to attack you unless you're in his hitbox, just to clarify that. He's doing his pull again, and he always pairs that with this Inferno ability. So you just get to the back of the room, and then you're good to re-engage. Again, he'll do this Flame Whirl, which is just this mass AoE. Try to help your healer out here. Does do a lot of damage, and definitely move out of those pulsing spots before they explode. As you can see, a little meteor is going to come down and land on that spot. And that's pretty much the whole fight here. We're going to kill him a little slow right now just because we have some DPS dead. And rinse and repeat those mechanics I've mentioned.
A few moments later.
We're moving towards the third boss here. Again, any of these first 4 bosses I show you can do in any order you would like. Now we are choosing the spider boss. This boss, we are doing probably not how it's intended, but I'm going to show you by far the easiest way to just do this boss. There is a way to take care of these spider ads. I think that you actually burn them with a torch. I'm not 100% sure because we just ignored the mechanic. These spider ads pretty much do no damage, so you really just have your tank pick them up, just do an AoE ability so that he gets all the threat. You don't want to AoE at all if you're like my Boomkin or my Mage. Just straight single target the boss, that way we don't pick up threat on these ads, and you pretty much just ignore all these little spiders. Again, there's different move points that you can go to throughout this boss to, I guess, burn all these spiders and get them to disappear, but as you can see, he's taking like absolutely no damage, so you can pretty much just ignore him. Kind of makes the boss a little lame, a little boring, but who likes big spiders anyways, so. Now we are moving over to the Opera boss, which does rotate. You have a chance of different bosses every day. I've seen 2 of them. I've seen the one I'm about to show you and the one with 5 goblins. The 5 goblins one is pretty hard. You just focus down the casters first, have your tanks pop a free action potion so they don't get stunned and lose threat, and you kite one of the guys around the room. It's really not that difficult, it just kind of hits a little harder. This boss, though, I don't believe went as intended, and you're going to see why I say that. It's supposed to be the 3 bad wolves, so we're killing the pigs right now, I guess. With that being said, you just see that this boss's health is getting destroyed. Now, obviously, I'm in a pretty good group. I'm with some gamers right now. With that being said, once we kill this guy, I'm sure that there was supposed to be another boss or some more to this encounter. We're kind of waiting here, and then we just realize, oh, the cache's up. The boss is over. And we go to it to confirm, and we can in fact loot. So, not sure if that encounter went as intended. I highly doubt it, but that's what we came across. Alright, and moving on to the technical final boss, which we just activated by clicking that book right behind me. That book only becomes available once you've killed those 4 first bosses that I just showed you. Now, this is the technical final boss, and he's definitely the hardest boss, but there are 2 secret bosses after this, so make sure you stick around. Again, this guy is not a DPS race. That's one thing I want to state. It's definitely a mechanic type of boss, and it does have some nasty overlaps, which you're going to see shortly here. First, you have to deal with this Red Death mechanic, which you just move out. You try to keep your group stacked so there's no LOS issues with the whole light mechanic. As soon as that goes off, you can just move back into the boss. He just casted a fear at us. During this fear, he's going to chain somebody. So I see that the chains is on Sadie, which is our healer. That's actually really bad. We need to find Sadie immediately and break these chains. We're all very low right now, just because obviously our healer being chained at the beginning of a fight. Not the best, but we recovered. And from there, it's kind of rinse and repeat. There's a couple more things, which you will see shortly. Definitely keep moving out of the Red Death together. Now, right now, someone is holding the torch. Whoever is holding the torch or the light on this fight will get a stacking debuff. Right now, it's on me. So if you see that immolate looking debuff I have, that is the fire damage debuff you get from holding the torch. The longer you hold that torch, the more this debuff's going to do. Now, by my debuffs, it doesn't implicate that it stacks up, but it definitely does do more damage over time. So the way we handle this is, once we saw we were ticking for a bunch of damage and it was kind of becoming unhealable, we just drop the torch and let the next person pick it up. Again, he casts his fear, he chains someone during that fear, we see him, we get him out right away, and back to attacking the boss. There's one final mechanic to this guy, which he should do pretty shortly. Move for the Red Death. I went ahead and dropped the torch as I was taking some damage there. Someone else is going to pick it up. Now, it took a second for us to be able to see that boss because you do have to have the torch near him to be able to see. And here's the final mechanic. He mind controls somebody. You just damage that person below 50% and they become free. Try to make sure you don't one-shot them. If you got someone with low health in your group and you hit them with like a big Starfire or Star Surge, you're probably one-shot them. I don't know if it's possible, but I got pretty close to dying right there. And rinse and repeat. Move for the death. Got to get this torch close to this boss. There we go. Now we're able to attack. And from here, he's just going to go down. We have actually a pretty unfortunate overlap at the end here. Fear at 2%. He chains our tank. We're looking for him. And they almost walked right into the red decay and died. Luckily, we killed it. Watch out for that, but boss does a lot of damage. Not very hard, though. Going to our first secret boss of the dungeon. You click on this torch, it's going to open that bookshelf, and inside this room, there's going to be this gentleman to talk to. I believe you can only talk to him if you are a mage or a warlock. I'm pretty sure you have to have one of those two in your group. And then you'll go towards the beginning of the instance and find him sitting right here, which is the same room that the Dark Rider boss spawns in. This is more of a mini-boss than anything. He spawns this guy. He doesn't really have a great loot table. You'll kind of see at the end what he drops. He drops kind of a bunch of different random things, but he does have a chance of dropping the Bind Unequipped Epic Bracers that are a part of the 3-piece tier set. This Warden is not a part of this boss. It's just a pat that we pulled with the boss on accident, so we're going to focus him down. This boss is, or this mini boss, I really should say, is pretty straightforward. He does a Shadow Bolt volley. It doesn't do that much damage. The thing he does do is he becomes enraged and starts hitting the tank really fast and really hard. It definitely does. It's a tank spanker. It hurts your tank for sure, but you can just stun this boss. So it's worth noting here. As I'm sitting here watching this back thinking about it, we just got another one of the keys. I'm not sure if we can actually access that first boss I showed, the brother version of her, because this would be the second key we got of this run. We did not test that or try that, so if you know, let us know down in the comments. I'm pretty curious on that. I don't know why we didn't think about trying that here. But as you can see, we just keep kidney shotting, hodging this boss, keep stunning him, because right now he's hitting our tank a little hard, but pretty straightforward, very easy boss, and you'll see the loot table in just a moment here. And as he goes down, kind of a couple random things and those epic Bind Equip Bracers. Now on to the real final secret boss of the dungeon. You have to collect these mysterious relics, which you will find throughout the dungeon. I'm going to show you a couple examples of it, like we found this scythe underwater. You find 2 of them throughout the dungeon like that, and you find one of them that drops off a mob, just like we got a mysterious relic looted off of him. These will be placed random throughout the dungeon. They're not always in the same spot, typically in the boss rooms somewhere. So I'm not going to show you all of them because they really are RNG. And then you go to the beginning of the instance, place the 3 relics down where I just showed you. And from there you can go to that room with the sigil on the door, and a sword will spawn that you can interact with. This will spawn the last boss. We thought this was pretty badass. I'm not going to lie, I thought this was pretty cool. This is a sweet animation. Seeing this boss come to life here. We didn't really know what to expect going in. He kind of went and grabbed that sword, came out of a portal, and now he's summoning his horse. We thought he would activate right here, but he will actually travel to break the rune or whatever on the other side of the room against that door. That's where we will engage this boss. This boss can bug out on you, and I'm going to talk about how to stop him from doing that. I don't think it's actually a bug. People were viewing it as one. I think it was more intentional. Pulling the boss here, a couple mechanics to be aware of. He's going to summon a red horse around the room. Boom, there it is. It's going to face a certain direction and spawn a red flame in front of him. He's just going to charge to that red flame. Make sure you're not standing in it and you won't take any damage. Every 25%, which again we didn't know at the time, he will phase, and you'll see that phase shortly. Boom, there's the horse again. Just keep your eye on that. So the room goes dark, our torch gets lost. We see, oh, it's over to our left. So you have to go pick up the torch. Now you have to find the opening here. If you notice, the far left is open, but you will bug out the fight if you go through that far left. You actually have the guy with the torch go near those Dark Riders. One of them will show attackable like it just did. And you attack it, and then you kind of wait for the boss to come back to you. Again, this was our first time doing it. We didn't know what to expect, but he actually comes from behind us. The horse animation we didn't even see there. And there's his other mechanic that I haven't mentioned, those green runes that spawn on the ground. They just do AoE damage. They do hurt really bad, don't stand in them. This horse animation was very hard to see. I think it's due to the hills. I'm honestly not sure. Maybe it's just a visual bug or effect because this dungeon is brand new. But as long as you dodge these horses and follow that transition phase every 25%, the boss will go down with ease. Again, we found the torch. You have to find the guy that's attackable by bringing the torch close to him. Boom. Got him. He's going to run back to his horse and find us, and we're going to start attacking him again. There's nothing else to really explain on this boss here. So have fun sitting here and watching and kind of seeing what his loot table is at the end.
Recharging. I can't pass that yet. I don't have a target. That spell is ready. That's still recharging. I can't pass that yet. That spell isn't ready. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready. I can't pass that yet.
And that's going to be the end of our video today. I gotta say, this dungeon really exceeded my expectations. It was a blast. It was really cool seeing some actual new content released into SOD that was well thought through and put together. I hope to see more like it. I'm excited for that new raid that's going to be coming out and what we assume will be Phase 8. I do have a Warlock, Affliction Warlock guide dropping within the next couple of days for SOD to prepare y'all for Phase 7. If this video was helpful for you, please drop a like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.